I think there are two threads that run through the report quite consistently, and I think it's important for members of the public to remember that. And the first is the multidimensional response that is required. I mean, from some of the questions that I've heard so far, I can understand the interest in legislation, what legislative measures can resolve the problem, to what extent extrajudicial reach of some of these measures, and these are all relevant issues, but obviously they will have to be dealt with when the bill is presented to Parliament, and then parliamentarians can look at the language and deal with that. So the first idea is a multidimensional response, which includes public education. There's a long section in the report on issues which have nothing to do with legislation. Public education, reinforcing, strengthening trust between people and communities, quality journalism, fact-checking, and I think it's very hard to disagree with the forward-looking and progressive nature of some of these recommendations. The second point would be really about the measures that the Select Committee considered. I mean, whatever the government seeks to do, obviously I can't speak for the government, but as a Select Committee member, I think the idea was it ought to be calibrated. It's not one response for any online falsehood. There's a whole suite of options that ought to be available to the government, and the government ought to avail itself of those options. So that there's a balance between the harm that a potential falsehood will cause, or a deliberate online falsehood will cause, as opposed to something which could just be a misinformed individual who doesn't have a full grasp of the issues. That cannot be construed as a deliberate online falsehood. I mean, I think the specifics will, I would think, come up if and when a bill comes to Parliament, and we'll deal with that there. Those are the two general points, the two threads, I think, which I hope members of the public consider actively when they read through the report. It's a very long report, but I think it gives a good sense of the nature of the problem and some of the ways we can deal with it.